Welcome to PrepsNet Coach Speak with Gardendale Rockets head basketball coach Chris Berry. Here's your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Welcome back, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. So last Tuesday, you traveled to Pleasant Grove. You played them early in the season, and I think you won that game, right? So how did this one go this time?
Yeah, we actually played pretty well. We ended up winning the game 59-56.
Nice.
It was close throughout. We played them early, like you said. We played them early in November, and they still had several guys, I think 5 on their roster, who were still playing football. So it was kind of a totally different team that we played.
Right.
And we added a piece to our team. We brought up an 8th grader who joined us. He's a 6'8", 8th grader named Cannon Combs, and he gave us a huge spark. But senior Trey Crawford led the way. He had a phenomenal night. He had a career-high 31 points.
Fantastic.
And made big shots down the stretch, and we were able to win the game 59-56.
Good deal. So then on Thursday, you played Leeds. You had lost a close one to them back in December. But this time you had another loss, another close one, 46-43. Tell us about that night.
Yeah, it was a tie game with 14 seconds to go.
Wow.
And they had possession of the ball, and they knocked down a 3 to put them up 46-43. We get a possession and get a good look with, under 6 seconds, and it didn't go down, and that was the result, 46-43. But they're a tough team to play against. I mean, Coach Millington does a really good job. They've got some really good schemes defensively. They're hard to guard. They spread the floor, and by the score 46-43, they can really slow you down and kind of grind it out. And they've been problematic for us the 2 games that we played them, just with their tempo and the way they play. They've been a tough matchup.
Okay. Well, talking about tight scores, Friday night was your final regular season game. You played Athens, and you beat them 76-75, a buzzer beater. Tell us about it.
I mean, polar opposite from the game Thursday night at Leeds. This game was wide open from the start.
Yeah.
We had, I think, 44 points in the first half.
Wow.
We were making shots. Defensively, we were able to create offense with our defense, and we were really good in the first half. And the opposite was true in the second half. We weren't as good, and Athens was really good in the second half. We actually had a 20-point lead at halftime, and before you know it, it's tied up. And Trey Crawford, our senior, who led the way with 28 points, had to knock down a 3 at the buzzer to win the game. So it was
a three-pointer at that.
Yeah, about a 25-footer contested. They make a shot with 6 seconds to go. We don't call timeout. We get it out, get it down the floor, and one pass up the sideline, and Trey knocks it down. So it was a huge night. It was a great crowd. It was senior night. We were able to send our seniors, Trey Crawford, Nehemiah Handy, and Braylon Henry. We were able to send those guys out with a win in their last home game. And like I said, it was a huge crowd, and those 3 seniors stepped up and had incredible nights. So it was good to see those guys go out like that.
Okay, good. So area tournament started on Monday. You played Pinson Valley, you lost 66-46. Now, I know Pinson Valley is a very, very good team. Give us an overview of that.
Well, it was we got off to a really bad start. It seemed like there was a lid on the basket for us. I thought we were really competing on the defensive end. We were doing some good things. We just couldn't make a shot, and we were in a 15-point hole at the end of the first quarter, and I think we cut it to 10. They hit a 3 at the buzzer before half, and we'd cut it to 7, and then they hit a 3 to make it a 10-point game at the half. And we kind of cut it to maybe 7 a couple times late in the third quarter.
Right.
And in the fourth quarter, again, that seemed like the lid got on the basket, and we just couldn't make a shot. But we did have a lot of bright spots. It was obviously our area tournament, so last game for us. But we were on the court probably 75-80% of the game with 3 sophomores and an 8th grader.
Wow.
So, it was one of those nights where I think our guys, they did a lot of growing up. We were really, the 8th grader I talked about earlier, Cannon Combs actually led us in scoring with 15 points. Had a double-double, 10 rebounds, had 4 blocks. So, we feel like with our guard play, Ryan Lemons, also a young sophomore, our point guard, he had 10 points and 5 assists. Cody Coachman, another sophomore for us, had 8 points. So those guys are – we threw them to the fire, so to speak, against Clay and Pinson, and not quite sure we were our whole team was ready for some of those nights, but
Yeah.
I think it made those guys better, and they grew up, and I think it'll help us next year as we move back into the same area with
Right.
Clay and Pinson, who will reload, I'm sure, and have great teams next year. So we've
Right.
got to make sure that we're ready to go.
Good. So, like you mentioned, season has come to an end. Hate to hear it, hate to see it, but all things happen.
Yep.
And wanted to give you an opportunity to give an overview of this team and especially those seniors, and tell us what they meant to you.
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, anytime you're with kids for 4 years, you develop those bonds, you develop those relationships, and it's no different for these seniors. They,
Right.
they come in as wide-eyed 8th graders, not knowing what to expect, and
Yes.
and you're with them for 4 years, for 10 months out of the year. It seems like it's 6 days a week that we're together, and
Right.
so you really do have that connection, and just to see it end so quickly. I guess the old saying, the older you get, the faster time goes. I mean, but just to see
Right.
these guys' careers and see them go from those young 8th graders, just young boys, and turning into men, and just the maturity level that they develop over the course of the 4 years that they're here.
Yeah.
Not just on the court, but off the court. We finished last night, and our assistant principal was at the game, and he came down and talked in the locker room, and he didn't mention as much about our team and what we did on the court, but more about the character of those 3 seniors,
Right.
and just how they represented Gardendale basketball in the community, in the hallways.
Yes.
They're just kids that have great character, make good decisions, and do the right things on and off the court, and that's what we want to be about. Obviously, we want to win basketball games, but we want to do it the right way with good kids who represent Gardendale, the city, and our school in a
Right.
positive way. So
Right.
we have high expectations, and for next year, we really are excited about the young talent that we have coming up from our middle school. Our middle school team just won the Metro League. I think they finished with a 22-1 record.
Wow.
And some of those guys actually came up and played a JV game at the end of the year.
Okay.
So we're really excited about that, the incoming freshman class, and we think the future is bright for Gardendale basketball.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate you doing this with us, having us in your gym week in and week out. You and the boys, I believe, have represented Gardendale basketball really well. We hope to do this again next year if we can have the opportunity.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. And thank you as always. Join us again next season. Never know what will happen. But be sure to check out PrepsNet.com for all of your high school sports information and news. So long.